Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on something that might totally throw you for a loop. Why some seniors over 70 are ditching their social circles and absolutely loving every single minute of it. Yep, you heard that loud and clear. While most of us have been spoon-fed the idea that staying tangled up with friends, family, and the local crew is the golden key to a joyful, long life, there's a growing pack of folks in their 70s and beyond who are flipping that playbook upside down. They're looking around and saying, you know what, I'm cool flying solo. And here's the jaw-dropper. They're not just scraping by or muddling through, they're straight up thriving. This isn't about turning into that grouchy old-timer who yells at kids to get off the lawn or slapping a do not disturb sign on life. Not even close. It's about tripping over a kind of freedom and peace they didn't even realize they'd been missing all these years. So, what's the scoop? Why are they pulling the plug on the social game? And what's the big win for them? Hang tight, because we're about to dive deep into 4 unexpected upsides of this trend that might just shake up everything you thought you knew about aging well. Before we get rolling, if you're new to the crew, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. We're dropping fresh, eye-opening takes on life, health, and all the messy, beautiful stuff in between every single week. And listen, if you're digging this video, toss a 1 in the comments to let me know. If it's not clicking for you, drop a 0. I'm all about fine-tuning these to fit what you're here for. Alright, let's jump in with both feet. Picture this scene. You're 72, and for decades, your life's been a non-stop carousel of social gigs. Think family reunions with too much potato salad, coffee dates where you're nursing the same cup for an hour, maybe a bowling league or a gardening club thrown in for good measure. You've been the heartbeat of it all. The one who's always got a quip ready. The friend who shows up no matter what. The glue keeping the whole circus together. But then one random Tuesday, you roll out of bed, stretch those creaky joints, and a wild thought hits you. What if I just didn't? That's exactly what went down with Linda, a 74-year-old spitfire I got wind of recently. Linda was the undisputed champ of her social universe. Bridge nights with the gals, church potlucks where her pies were the stuff of legend, the works. People didn't just know her, they counted on her to bring the spark. But after her husband passed a few years ago, something started shifting under the surface. She began ducking out of the occasional hangout. Nothing dramatic, just a missed game night here, a passed-up lunch there. Then one day it clicked. She didn't miss it. Not one bit. In fact, she felt this strange, almost electric lightness she hadn't tasted in forever. It wasn't about slamming the door on people or sinking into some pity party. She just woke up craving something else entirely. And that's where our first upside struts in. Reclaiming your time like it's yours again. Because, newsflash, it totally is. When you roll past 70, time stops feeling like this big, sprawling interstate you can cruise forever and starts looking more like a quiet back road you want to linger on, soak in every curve. Social circles? They're a blast, no argument there. Connection keeps us human. But here's the sneaky catch. They come with a tax, and I'm not talking cash. I'm talking obligations. Those invisible strings that tug you into saying yes when you'd rather hit snooze, or schlepping to a potluck when you'd kill for an afternoon puttering in the garage. Stepping back doesn't mean you're done with humanity. It means you're finally putting your own name at the top of the list. Linda told me she started spending her mornings painting. Something she hadn't messed with since her 20s, back when life was all hustle and no pause. She said, I didn't even clock how much of my day was booked for everyone else until I tore up the schedule. And here's the kicker. Science is nodding along. Studies show older adults who lean into their own rhythms over endless socializing feel more content, more grounded. It's like they've hacked the system. Less gotta do this, more gonna love that. So let's get real for a sec. When's the last time you carved out a chunk of day just for you? No guilt? No I should be somewhere buzzing in your ear? If you're over 70 and this is striking a chord, maybe it's time to dip your toe in. Skip that next group thing. Don't vanish, just take a breather and see what it's like to call the shots from sunrise to sundown. You might find you've been shortchanging your own company all this time. And trust me, it's pretty great catching up with yourself. Now, let's pivot to something else that tags along when you ease off the social gas. Mental clarity that lands like a cold splash of water on a muggy day. You know how social groups can turn into a whirlwind of blah blah blah? There's the gossip mill churning out who's beefing with who, the drama over someone's cousin's latest blowout, that one buddy who's always unloading. Could be their trick knee, could be their HOA feud. You care, sure. You're not heartless, but after a while it's just static piling up in your skull like a stack of spam emails you can't delete fast enough. Enter Tom, 76, a retired mechanic with a grin that could light up a blackout. Tom used to park himself at the local diner every Saturday with his old work gang. Real stand-up guys, the kind you'd trust with your last dollar. They'd sip burnt coffee, swap tales, and grumble about the usual suspects. Weather's trash, politics are a circus, my hips are shot. Comfortable, right? But Tom started picking up on something. Every week was Groundhog Day. Same gripes, same punchlines, same old song. One Saturday, he bailed. No big announcement, just stayed home, flipped on his ancient radio, let some jazz fill the air, and futzed with a busted carburetor in his garage. He told me it was like my brain got a deep clean. I didn't see how much their noise was clogging my gears until I shut it off. That's our second upside, a quieter, sharper mind that's yours to steer. When you're not knee-deep in everyone else's rants, hot takes, or play-by-plays, you've got space to breathe. To chase your own thoughts, or just let your head go blank if that's what's calling. Science is Team Tom on this. Studies say too much social overload can spike stress, especially as we age and our brains get fussier about what they'll put up with. Dialing it back isn't about going full hermit. It's about cherry-picking your piece like it's the last ripe peach at the market. Imagine this. Instead of fake laughing through another "my taxes are killing me" rant, you're sprawled on your deck with a lemonade, watching the clouds roll by, letting your mind roam wherever it damn well wants. Doesn't that sound like a slice of heaven? Next time you're torn between the gang and your gut saying pass, go with the gut. Take a whole day, or even just a lazy morning, to yourself. No script, no chatter, and see if your brain doesn't feel like it just shed 10 pounds by noon. You might find silence is the VIP guest you've been snubbing all along. Okay, buckle up, because here's where it gets downright fascinating. Upside number 3. Rediscovering who you are when the crowd's not clapping. Social circles are a lifeline, no denying it. They tether us to laughs, tears, the messy glue of being alive. But they've got a shadow side. They can pin you into a box you didn't build. You're the wisecracker, the fixer, the one who always hosts, roles you've worn so long they're practically tattooed on you. But what happens when you ditch the spotlight? Meet Sarah, 71, a human dynamo who spent years as the social queen of her cul-de-sac. Her dinner parties were the stuff of lore. Think flickering candles, warm bread, a playlist that kept everyone lingering past dessert. She ran block parties, corralled carolers, kept the neighborhood humming. People didn't just love her, they leaned on her. But after she crossed 70, a question started gnawing. Who am I when I'm not the one with the apron and the RSVP list? So she hit pause. No more weekly feasts, no more clipboard in hand. Her crew was rattled. Some got downright pouty, like, "Where's our Sarah at?" But she shrugged it off. She dug out some dusty sneakers and started hiking alone, a dream she'd tucked away since her kids were in diapers. She told me, "I found pieces of myself I didn't know I'd lost. I'm not just the potluck lady. I'm the chick who gets giddy when the trail gets steep." That's the spark of this upside. You get to strip down to the real you, no script required. Aging can feel like you're stuck playing someone else's part. Grandma, retiree, whatever sticks. But stepping off the social hamster wheel lets you grab the reins. Maybe you unearth that harmonica you haven't blown since the 70s. Or maybe you just sit on the porch and reminisce about the teenager you were. All big dreams and bigger hair. It's your turf now. Research even whispers that this solo soul-digging builds steel. Folks over 70 who carve out me time often say they're more in sync with themselves, less rattled by life's sucker punches. So, here's your homework. Next time you've got a free afternoon, don't ping a pal. Kick it with yourself instead. Grab a journal, mess with a paintbrush, or just sprawl out and let your brain noodle around. What bubbles up? You might meet a version of you that's been waiting in the wings for decades. All right, let's land this plane with our fourth upside, and trust me, it's a heavy hitter that'll stick with you. Energy that hangs around like a loyal dog you don't have to bribe with treats. Socializing, it's a riot until it's a slog. It burns fuel, emotional, physical, mental, the whole tank. By 70, your reserves aren't what they were when you could pull an all-nighter and still crush it at work. And that's not shade, it's just the gig. But some seniors crack the code. Saying nope to the crowd means saying yep to feeling like $1,000,000. Meet Evelyn, 78, a former teacher with a voice that could still hush a rowdy classroom. Her days used to be a blur. Lunches with ex-colleagues, library volunteer shifts, coffee clatches with her book nerds. She lived for it until it started living her instead. I'd stumble home and flop, she said. I thought it was just age creeping in, but it was more. I was drained dry. One winter, she pulled the plug, canceled everything for a solid month. No outings, no check-ins, just her and her cozy little nest. She dove into knitting like it was her job, tore through novels thick enough to double as doorstops, napped whenever her eyes got heavy. By the end of that stretch, she told me, I felt like someone flipped my on switch. I had energy I didn't know I'd misplaced. That's the jackpot here. When you're not dumping your juice into everyone else's glass, you've got plenty sloshing around for you. Studies are all over this. Older adults who play their social cards smart, betting on quality over quantity, sleep deeper, hurt less, and strut through their days with a spring they'd written off. It's not about being stingy, it's about being savvy with what you've got left. Think about your own week. How often do you grit your teeth through a meetup when you're running on empty? What if you bailed and spent that hour stretching out the kinks, simmering a stew that warms your soul, or just vegging with a movie you've been itching to watch? Evelyn's hooked now. She still catches up with her people here and there, but only when her tank's full, and she swears she's never felt more electric. So there it is, 4 unexpected upsides to why some seniors are kicking their social circles to the curb after 70 and loving the ride. It's not about torching bridges or morphing into that cranky shut-in with the jungle yard. It's about dialing in to what fires you up at this leg of the trip. Maybe you're sitting there, gears turning, thinking, I could use a fat slice of that me-time pie. Or maybe you're like, no shot, I'd miss my squad too much. Either way, chew on it. What's one thing you could loosen up on to snag a little room for yourself? Throw it in the comments, slap a 1 if this hit you right, or a 0 if it's not your jam. Smash that like button if you're feeling it. Subscribe if you're not already riding with us, and I'll catch you in the next one.